Hello, good afternoon. This is Keith Shindler coming to you for our second Facebook Live. Attorney Keith Shindler again from Claim Your Justice. The purpose of these are to give our viewers and the rest of the Facebook community valuable and useful information on personal injury cases and related personal injury topics. We welcome positive comments and positive questions. You can always call us at Claim Your Justice at 1-888-88-KEITH. And remember, we are here to help you claim your justice. Last week we covered a topic of who pays for the cost when a client has to pursue a personal injury case. Basic information, but we're going to start basic. So we covered that item. Today we're going to cover what to do in the event of a car accident. What's the first thing necessary to do? You're going to be shaken. You're going to be in pain. You're concerned about your injuries. Well, first thing you want to do is make sure that your surroundings are safe. Sometimes when an accident happens, there's a secondary accident that happens because the parties didn't secure their personal safety. I do not recommend that you move your car. If you can exit the car and walk out of the car under your own strength, I suggest you do that. If you can't, make sure your hazards are on and that you're giving approaching traffic any possible advance notice that there's an accident ahead. Of course, if you're injured, the first thing you need to do is call an ambulance. Second thing you should do, if you can, is call 911 to call the police. I understand these are all very basic pieces of information, but it's important for me to relay this information to you because although we know what to do in this calm setting that we're in now, sometimes there's an accident, you're nervous, you're not going to remember what to do. So hopefully me reminding you of these things will help penetrate them into your memory so that you'll make sure it happens. Once the ambulance comes, they're going to give you the medical attention you need. Of course, if they cart you off to a hospital because you're injured, you're not going to be able to do this next piece that I'm going to talk about. But it's very important to take pictures. If you can take pictures of the area where the accident happened, if you could take pictures of the car that struck you or the truck that hit you, do that. Take pictures of any street indicating important street indicators. If it's under construction, you may want to get a couple pictures of the construction site. Why is that important? Because sometimes the car that hit you may move and you may not be able to secure the pictures, or the mechanics of how the accident happened can be reconstructed through the pictures that you take. Next thing is, my job is to make sure my clients get the treatment that they need. So if you need to go to the emergency room, you should go to the emergency room. The ambulance, of course, will ask you, do you need to go to the emergency room? How do you feel? Many times a client will say, I don't need to go to the emergency room, in part maybe because they're not injured, but they're also very worried about their car. The clients have told me in the past, if I go to the emergency room, what's going to happen in my car? It's going to get towed, I'm not going to find it, it's a new car, I've started making payments on it. Very real life things, but remember, your health and dealing with your injuries are critical, but if you don't go to the emergency room with the ambulance, then you may, after you secure your car, go to the emergency room shortly thereafter the accident happened. So an hour later, a couple hours later. If you're injured, the ambulance driver may not give you, the paramedics may not give you the choice, do you need to go, because they're going to make the assessment you need to go. That's okay as well. Let's take a situation where you go to the accident happens and the paramedics come and they say, do you need to go to the emergency room? And you say, no, I feel shaken up, but I don't need to go right now. A couple hours later at night or the following morning, you're in a lot of pain. You could either go to the emergency room then, or if you can get in to see your doctor, it's not so easy these days to get into the doctor right away, you can get the follow-up treatment then. Sometimes clients call me and say, what do you think, I had an accident happen, and should I go to the doctor? That's not a decision for me to make, that's a decision for you to make. If you're injured, you go get the treatment that you need. Sometimes after an accident happens, you're going to get a call. It could be the same day, it could be the next day, it could be a couple days later, from the responsible party's insurance company. Be very careful here. They're going to ask you how you're doing. They may offer you a $500 settlement right away to settle your case. And they're also going to ask you to give a recorded statement. I personally do not suggest or recommend that you give a recorded statement. Of course, the final thing you should do is make sure you get the proper legal representation. That's where the attorneys that claim your justice come to your prosecution and help you prosecute your case. So you can reach Claim Your Justice at 888-88-KEITH. My name is Keith Shindler. One of the other things I want to do with each second Facebook Live of the month, I want to talk about a real case. So I'm going to start with that today. It's cold, it's snowy, it's wintry, lots of ice. Well, slip and fall cases happen all the time. Many of them are very difficult to prosecute, and many of them aren't eligible for recovery because you may have to watch where you're walking, you may slip, and it was no one's responsibility. However, we recently signed up a case 2 days ago where a client tripped over an uneven sidewalk. It was about 4 inches separated, and it was at night. And interestingly enough, around the sidewalk were painted indicators of upcoming construction, but there was no warning, there was no sawhorse, there was no construction lights, there was no closing to walk on the other side of the street that whoever did those marks took the extra step to do. Our client tripped and fell at night. It was not a well-lit street. Client had surgery on her broken wrist and also had staples in her head. So I'm going to track this case as it goes along through the prosecution. It takes a lot of time, but we'll have lots of time to share together. Remember, if you're injured in any type of accident, car accident, trip and fall, medical malpractice, wrongful death, let us help you claim your justice. Thank you. This is Keith Shindler. Have a successful rest of your week.